Hey Sagittarius, welcome to your 2020 Sidereal Astrology forecast. So this video is first true Sidereal Astrology, which uses the actual size of the constellations. This is different from all forms of mainstream astrology, and so your signs are likely different from those systems. So if you are new to this channel, definitely check out the link down below before continuing with this video to make sure you do have your sun, moon, or ascendant sign, in fact, in the true Sidereal Sagittarius. If you do know your time of birth, then definitely check out your ascendant sign, because those videos tend to be the most accurate, as that's how we cast charts in astrology, is around the ascendant. So, but if you don't know that, your sun and moon can also work just fine. And if you do want a more holistic picture of the year ahead, you can watch all three, your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. But again, make sure it's for your true Sidereal sign, which you can find using that birth chart calculator down below. All right, so Sagittarius, let's take a look at the year. We're going to look at the outer planets. What are they doing? What are the aspects? What houses are they in for you? And then also the eclipses as well, which can be very important indicators of general themes of the year. Now, the number one area that's most active for you is your first house, with Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, the South Node, all transiting through Sagittarius. So this is the house of identity. It's the house of our self-image. It's the house of our independence and who we are and what we need for our, personal needs and desires and goals in life. All these things relating to self. So it's been a really good time of developing this area, especially the last 2 years with Saturn here. A lot of you have maybe been really putting a lot of patience or discipline, or maybe there's been that side of yourself that's been calling you to put in some patience and discipline towards some things, or where you can work hard, really build that strength of character, right, and do some of that stuff for the long road for yourself. So it's still a great year to do that. However, this year, not only is Saturn here, but Jupiter is transiting through this sector. And Jupiter is the opposite to Saturn, which is your ruler, which deals with opportunities, expansion, and a more free-spirited side to things. So Jupiter's recently, since the end of last year, come out of your 12th house, which is placed likely for you more of an emphasis on behind-the-scenes activities or your spiritual well-being. But now coming into your first house, this is definitely you coming from behind the scenes into a more free-spirited you and more natural you, learning a lot about who you are, what your needs are, this kind of thing, really getting not only grounded with Saturn, but really expanded upon with Jupiter. So January 10th, we have a lunar eclipse in your 7th house of relationships, opposite the area of the self, the first. And in this case, there could be maybe some things culminating regarding relationships, if anything 6 months started 6 months ago prior to this. But at the very least, just good time to do a status check. Mid-January, how's your relationship life going? How's your agreements, your contracts, your personal relationships, and your professional ones? And you'll likely gain some awareness at this time in terms of what you want to further develop throughout the year, particularly the next 6 months in regards to this relationship stuff. Now, also mid-January, January 12th, we have Saturn conjoining transformative Pluto. And so collectively, we're all going to be going through some restructuring, collectively speaking. And for you, this is in your house of identity and of your needs. So really good, particularly in January, to practice non-attachment to your needs and to who you are in order to allow for that change. Because it's not until we're really non-attached to who we are and to our needs can we really make changes there. And so it's calling us to make changes, and the more willing we are to make change, the more empowering this can be. And from these changes, there's going to be some new foundations being laid here with Saturn, right? Again, it's a restructuring, but it's a restructuring to create some new, more solid foundations with yourself, with your identity. And so with this change, whatever it is, building upon, like I said, throughout the rest of the year, your sense of self, your strength of character, working within your limitations, your mature side, your responsible side, or anything that is requiring that stuff at this time, really good to further develop. Now, February, we have a minor aspect, but it is involving your ruler Jupiter, sextiling up to Neptune starting February 20th. And it's linking up nicely that first house of self with your third house of communication. In this sense, since 2010, if there's been anything that you've been maybe having to surrender involving practical things in your life, maybe things not being so clear in terms of practical things like communication or information, or maybe some of you have been learning things more on a spiritual level. But that's synergizing very nicely here this year, where I think there will be a nice good flow with whatever it is, again, you're cultivating with your needs and your communication sector and your learning sector. So it's a little bit of synergy there. That's going to be going on through October 12th, with July 27th being a kind of shifting time with those things. And since Jupiter is your ruler, you're having a nice aspect with Neptune. That can mean all in all, just generally, it could be, collectively speaking, a more receptive year, more spiritual year, more ebb and flow kind of year for all Sagittarians. Now, March, we have Saturn dipping into Capricorn between March and June to give a prelude as to what 2021 and 2022 will be like. And in this case, Saturn's going into your second house of your inner and outer resources. So March through June, really good to see how can you work hard at and be patient towards cultivating your inner resources, like your inner self-worth, self-value, resourcefulness, but also your external resources like material security or finance. How can you take that slow road, the patient road, really work on these things? Because 21 and 22 will likely be a really good solidifying year here of working within your limitations in this sector to really build upon it. But even next year in 21, Jupiter will be here, so there's going to be a lot of developments in your resource sector. But this is a kind of prelude March through June. Now, April, we have Neptune going into domicile of Pisces, where Neptune is very comfortable from April through September, to give a prelude as to also what 21 will be like, but in this case with Neptune. So Neptune's the receptive watery planet, and Neptune's going into your fourth house of home and personal life. And so April through September, a bit of a prelude as to how you can have more of this accepting nature towards your home, towards family, towards the past, towards maybe your health even, or your relationship with your body, or your emotional security, or listening to your inner guidance, and maybe even some dreams and ideals about some of this stuff. So great to pursue those dreams and ideals, but fundamentally having a more accepting nature when it comes to your home life and personal life could be very good. And this starts to clear up some things too with the more uncertain stuff with the practical matters that have been maybe since 2010, that have been uncertain. As Neptune leaves your third house of mind and communication, that can ease up a lot of that deep water energy there as well. Now also in April, we have your ruler going over Pluto, Jupiter over Pluto, April 4th all the way through November 12th. And again, that's in your first house. So all of you have been, transforming your identity and going through some transformations as far back as 2007. And so this is definitely a year of continuing with that, but it's gotten a lot easier because Pluto's now at the very end of your constellation. And in this case with Jupiter, Jupiter really expands deep Pluto and helps us see the almost optimistic or the bright side or the bigger picture regarding these deeper things, these transformative things. So I would say starting April, really good to dive deep with self and maybe do some deep psychological work. This is all very different from the previous stuff, like I said, even from last year, because there was a lot of unconscious stuff being resolved there with that. But yeah, there's more kind of bigger picture about these deeper matters. See if there's any fears, inhibitions, things you can face to empower yourself. Again, practice non-attachment to your sense of self and your identity. And this can all in all give you more empowerment with whatever these changes might be throughout the year. And with Pluto next to your ruler, a lot of you are just going to likely be feeling quite empowered. And there is this whole new transformative you, the phoenix out of the ashes, throughout the year, and especially by the end of the year after this conjunction. Now June, we have a solar eclipse on June 21st, and this is going to be in that 7th house of relationships. So like I said, there'll likely be a lot of developments here in this sector, and mid-year, maybe something new literally emerging with it. But do be flexible around this time because we're going to have a lot of retrogrades. Even the month and a half leading up to it, Venus will be retrograde. And the couple weeks after it, Mercury will be retrograde here. So be flexible with your relationship stuff. But the second half of the year, really good to cultivate this area, something new emerging to develop. And this could be a personal or professional relationship. It can even be agreements or contracts. But definitely some forward movement there from late June onward. Now September, we have Neptune coming back into Aquarius, your third house. So like I said, it'll be a good time of finalizing some of the practical matters that have been requiring a more accepting nature and a more spiritual approach. And so that'll be up until September to February of 2021. And so completing anything that has been going on since 2010 regarding your learning, your practical self, communication, your peers, siblings, anything like that that's been requiring more of that receptivity, really good to finalize at that time. And that'll be it. Once you get to 2021, like I said, that sector, the fog lifts, we start to find a little bit more of that clarity. And we sometimes can see a finalization and completion with the area. Now in November we have a lunar eclipse on November 30th, and that's going to be in your 6th house of work. This is where things really start to look a bit different in the year, where it'll just be a good time around late November to do a status check with your work, your routine, and your health, or any of those things separately. So see how those things are going, your kind of day-to-day activities, your habits, because there's going to be a lot of cultivation here moving forward. And with whatever comes to your awareness at this time regarding it, great to further develop and implement your work routine and habits moving forward. Now on December 14th, we then have the solar eclipse in your 12th house, the opposite area that deals with spirituality and finding inner peace in life. So something new starts to emerge there around December 14th, but it's maybe some karmic stuff that's being resolved. Maybe some things from the past involving deep spiritual needs, maybe your unconscious mind, maybe finding more peace in life, maybe regarding spirituality, sometimes past, unconscious stuff coming up. So nothing to really do around that eclipse, but I just feel like it's going to be very healing. So December 14th, just kind of sit with the energy, see what new arises in this more behind the scenes area. And through that more accepting nature, you'll likely see that there's some karmic stuff, things from the past that are getting resolved. Now karmic doesn't mean bad, it just means some things coming up from the past for resolution, for more in the 12th house, more acceptance, so we can find more peace in life. And then that leads to a more spiritualized you, and a more free you, which will be an energy that will continue to develop through 2021. All right, so the last thing here is on December 21st, we have your ruler Jupiter over Saturn. Again, they're in the same constellation of your sign all year, but at the end of the year they actually conjoin on the 21st of December. And so really good synergy here between the expansive nature of ourselves and the contracting or responsible natures of ourselves. And so this really solidifies things with whatever you've been cultivating in the year regarding your identity, regarding yourself, your self-image, your independence, your personal needs, your goals, your action, initiative. And yeah, finalizes, completes, and really manifests this kind of yin-yang, masculine, feminine, expansion, contraction, very constructive energy for the whole year here in your sign. All right, so Sagittarius, have a fantastic 2020. Now this video does come with a 20% discount on personal readings if you do want a detailed look at your own personal chart. So for that, do check out the link down below for both the live session or the MP3 recorded reading. But I wish you all the very best. Hope you have a fantastic 2020. Thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all in the next daily video. Take care.